Hello, welcome to a new episode of the iAppleguy, and today we are going to take a look at this 1999 iMac G3.
What we do here is go back.
All of the images you are about to see on the large screen.
One thing, making the best personal computer, a computer that Macintosh customers will truly love.
In the late 90s, Apple was on the verge of going bankrupt, but that all changed when they bought Next Computer. Apple founder Steve Jobs left or got fired by Apple in 1985 and started his new computer brand known as Next Computer. When Apple bought Next, Steve Jobs returned to the company as interim CEO and did a major remodeling of Apple's confusing product line at the time. First released in 1998, the iMac G3 was drastically different from other computers at the time, since it used translucent plastic to house the entire computer in. Most computers at the time were either beige or black. When Steve Jobs introduced the iMac G3, the iMac played an intro ending with the words "Hello again" in the cursive font the original 1984 Macintosh also used. The iMac wasn't just another Apple computer. The iMac had a new, unique, colorful design no other computer at the time used. Apple hoped to get people excited again about Apple products with the iMac, and they succeeded. In fact, it was so popular, it nearly sold 800,000 units in its first 5 months of release. Throughout its lifespan between 1998 and 2003, there were many different variations of the iMac. Starting with a 233 MHz Bandai Blue iMac, all the way up to a 700 MHz iMac DV. The biggest change occurred in late 1999 though. The tray loading disk drive got replaced with a slot loading disk drive, the annoying pointer was removed, and the case got more translucent. The one I have here is a 1999 iMac G3 DV SE, which stands for Special Edition. It's basically a bumped up DV model with 128MB of RAM as a standard and a 13GB hard drive instead of a 10GB hard drive. And also its new special graphite color. Like Steve Jobs himself said,
"The iMac DV Special Edition is everything in iMac DV and more."
One of the big selling points of the iMac was how easy it is to set up the machine, which is visible in Apple's iMac G3 Simplicity Shoutout ad and their 3 steps to the internet ad.
There's no step 3. There's no step 3.
Here are the specs of my machine when it was new. A 400MHz PowerPC G3 processor, 128MB of RAM, a 13GB hard drive, a DVD drive, and for video an ATI Rage 128 VR 2D 3D with 8MB of VRAM. The iMac featured a audio in and out, 2 FireEye 400 ports, a built-in 56K modem, most importantly 2 USB 1.1 ports as a standard, and an Ethernet port. Having USB as standard and removing things like the floppy drive at the time was pretty risky, but it turned out to actually be one of the best decisions Apple ever made. They believed CDs and DVDs were the future, and they were right. Taking a look at the front of the machine, you can see the 15-inch CRT screen, which had a resolution of 1024 by 768. It also had this neat little stand at the other side of the machine to adjust the height of the display. Then there's these 2 Harman Kardon stereo speakers, 2 headphone jacks, and a slot loading DVD drive. On the top you have this handle to pick up the machine, much like the original Macintosh. The computer originally came with the colorful Apple USB keyboard, which later got replaced by the Apple Pro keyboard. Then there's the mouse. This is the much hated Apple USB mouse, aka the hockey puck mouse. I really love this mouse, but a lot of people hate this mouse due to its weird and uncomfortable shape. Some manufacturers even made accessories to make the mouse more mouse shaped. And then on the bottom you have this really convenient door for easy access to the RAM and airport card. The iMac G3 uses PC100 RAM, but I'm pretty sure it's also backwards compatible with PC133 RAM. The machine also featured a VGA port on the back of the machine for external displays, but it could only be used for video mirroring. Starting it up here, you can see I'm running macOS 9.2. You can also run OS 10 on these machines, but I prefer the look of macOS 8 or 9 on these iMacs. Every iMac color or flavor, as Apple call them, even had its own wallpaper. There's still a ton of cool stuff you can do with this machine, such as internet browsing with Internet Explorer 5. Yes, that's right, Internet Explorer, because Internet Explorer came bundled with macOS till macOS 10 Pantry, I believe, in 2003. A real good website, I think it's really good, is the Macintosh repository. That's like a website full of old Mac software. There are also a ton of cool games released for the iMac, so yeah, you'll need to check that out. As comparison, here is my 24-inch late 2009 iMac compared to the iMac G3. The iMac G3 really is one of those hate it or love it things. I personally love it. I think it's one of the coolest things Apple ever made. So yeah, the iMac G3 really was a game changer. It showed off that Apple showed off that computers don't have to be beige or black to be any fun or any good. It really made computers fun again at Apple. So that's really darn cool. It also marked the return of Steve Jobs a little bit. So yeah, I think this is one of the coolest computer designs ever designed or made. Also, feel free to comment down below what your opinion was or is on the iMac G3. I would love to hear about that. So yeah, that'll kind of be it. I hope you enjoyed this review of the iMac G3. Yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. I basically do this stuff every week. And yeah, then I hope you have a great day and see you next time.